What's up, everybody? Welcome. Welcome to Moment of Clarity. Welcome to the Lee Camp live stream, whatever you want to call it. We'll accept any of those you want to call it. That's fine. I'm your host, Lee Camp, the most censored comedian in America. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for being here. I got a million stories for you. I try and it sucks because I'm reading the news and I'm going, I gotta talk about that shit. And then I say that, I yell that at myself 15 times in an hour, and then I try and bring it all to you. And I usually get through about 4 stories when I have 15 up. There's stories sitting on the bench, just like, put me in, coach, put me in. And I'm like, no, there's no time. There's no time. And there's really important story, but that's how our world works right now. Thanks for joining me. Please take a second to share this. Please take a second to post the live stream wherever your social medias may take you. This is right now. It's on YouTube, Rumble, Rockfin, Facebook. Thank you to all for being here. So let's get into it. I want to get into the revelations, the admissions by our media and our government that the CIA is on the ground in Ukraine. I have a bunch of other stories as well. So if you don't like that one, if you're not into that one, that's fine. That's fine. I got others. Fucking bring it. I got others. But seriously, I want to get into that. There's just, I got loads of shit for you. Loads of shit coming. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm sweating my balls off. Don't know about you. I'm trying for the audio to be good. I'm trying to do this without turning on the fan. Why is Dyson not modernized the fucking desk fan? You know, the fucking fan you turn on where it just goes and it just goes back and forth. Like, doesn't that feel like something? There should be a modern version of that. Just where it goes back and forth, and it lasts about a week before it starts making clicking noises. It's like clink, 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 clink. So anyway, I'm gonna try and not turn that on so that the audio is better. But if you see like flop sweat coming down my brow, I'm sweating to alert everybody to global warming. That's why I'm doing it for you. But seriously, Dyson, get on that shit. All right, man. What the fuck? You revolutionized hand dryers. You didn't actually, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, those hand dryers, all the Dyson hand dryers that are loud as fuck and you put your hands in, it's like, and it sounds like a jet taking off. They're actually just spraying fecal matter on your hands, but through the entire bathroom. For those of you who don't know, seriously, they've done studies. Those shit, the fucking airplane jet engine hand dryers that they were like, we're saving paper towels. They're actually spraying fecal matter everywhere. So I'm not even fucking kidding. Which is, you got to admit, of all the hilarious ways to dry people's hands, that's got to be up there towards the top. Like the guy who comes in, he's like, I have a new invention. All right, you know, people, they're like, my hands are kind of wet. I've just washed my hands. They're clean, but they're kind of wet. And I don't want to walk back to my table at this restaurant with wet hands. And this guy's like, I have an invention. It'll dry the fuck out of their hands with fecal matter. Warm fecal particles just all over your hands. And you're just like, yeah. What a great invention. I love this guy. You know what it was? It's because he did it with a British accent. He walked in there. You could fucking sell anything with a British accent. You walk in there and yeah, bloke. I don't know. What do Brits say? Hey, chap, buy my fucking Dyson hand dryer that shoots feces at you, but your hands are dry. They're covered in feces, but they're dry. That's only from you can only sell that if you have a British accent. You can only sell that if you have a British accent. But anyway, so I'm gonna get into CIA on the ground in Ukraine, and this is admitted. This is in the New York Times. The article I'm showing you is from Sheer Post because they're commenting on the New York Times article, but you know, the New York Times, oh, sorry about that background shit. I'll get rid of that. But the New York Times like when it's in the New York Times, it's been admitted by mainstream America propaganda. Like this is when you know that they're really come forward with it. So CIA, European commandos operating on the ground in Ukraine, according to the New York Times. And there's multiple reasons that this is a big deal. That this is not just like ho hum, who cares? U.S. proxy war. Yeah, of course they sent the CIA there. There's a few reasons that this matters more than just, being like, who cares? U.S. is doing all kinds of crazy shit. CIA doing all kinds of crazy shit. What's the big deal? Well, first of all, I and many other independent journalists have said this is a proxy war from day one. And we were in the early days of this Ukraine war, invasion by Russia. And by the way, for those who need to hear it, I don't support the invasion. I've said that since day one, too. Fucking said that on Redacted Tonight before it was canceled by U.S. sanctions. I don't support the invasion, but I also don't support fucking U.S. proxy wars. So I know, get that in your head. Oh, shit. He's against all war? What? That can't be a thing. No, it can't be on your mainstream media, but it can be on my fucking remaining YouTube shows, my remaining rumble.com/Lee Camp channel, the ones they haven't deleted yet. Anyway, so those of us who said that, we were made fun of, we were censored, we were deleted, our channels were deleted, our videos were deleted. Proxy war, what? We were told we were endorsing Russia, all this fucking garbage. And here we are, New York Times. Oh yeah, CIA's there helping Ukraine fight a proxy war. When you send the U.S., the CIA, the American Central Intelligence into a country to fucking fight a war, you're a part of it, motherfucker. That's top 10 ways you know that you're a part of the goddamn war when the CIA is helping you fight it. All right. So that's one thing you need to know about this. We were right all along. And every time I cover an update on Ukraine, which is a couple of times a week, it just keeps saying, oh, we were right all along. Oh, it is a proxy war. Oh, there you go. Then you get to the fact that this also shows, and I know shocking, that the New York Times and CNN and all of your other garbage media, they're all lying to you. And they've been lying to you. Because as this subheading says, previous reporting from the New York Times and CNN said the White House had incomplete intelligence about the war because of the lack of personnel on the ground in Ukraine. We don't know what's happening there. We don't have anybody there, right? That's what the U.S. tried to tell you. The U.S. tried to tell you this was just a war between Ukraine and Russia. The proxy war. What? Yeah, right. And yet here it is, clear as day. So this also proves that the New York Times and CNN are lying to you, and they have been. And those of us who said they were lying to you at the beginning, we were mocked, we were made fun of, we were censored, we've had all of our shit deleted. Some of us who were actually pushing the limits. Those of us who are willing to maybe say this one thing, but meanwhile still put forward a bunch of corporate propaganda garbage, then we can be allowed on, those people can be allowed on the fucking mainstream media. But the New York Times reports CIA officers are in Kiev to pass intelligence to Ukrainian officials. And special operations forces for several allied countries are training Ukrainian troops near the battlefield. The covert operations in Ukraine are part of a significant effort by Western governments to weaken Russia. At what point do you admit that you're part of the war? At what point do you say, oh, yeah, I guess we are funding this war? I guess we're a part of it. At what point do you admit that? If you're fucking funding one side, you fucking created a coup to try and make this war happen. You have been funding and arming Nazis in that country. You're sending them the equipment that they're using. And now we have an admission from the New York Times and the U.S. government that they're also standing there next to them going, yeah, you might want to point that thing over there. Just a little hint. The Russian generals might be over there. They're actually right over there. Right over. No, you're doing that wrong. No, you got to push. Hold on. Push the red button first, then click the little bobble switch there, then aim. Yeah, and you want it to be on the. You know what? Could you just slide your chair back? Do you mind? Can I get in here? At what point are you like, oh yeah, this is a fucking U.S. war? At what point? You're funding it. You're arming it. You're there on the ground, educating and training. You're fucking helping them. At what point are you like, oh, this is a U.S. proxy war? U.S. and Russia at each other's throats. Please tell me, at what point does that get admitted by our mainstream media? Because they're admitting everything else. Here's the New York Times saying, oh, yeah, CIA is on the ground in Ukraine. Citing unnamed and current and former officials, the New York Times explains the CIA has officers secretly deployed to Kiev to give intelligence about the war to Ukrainian officials. CIA personnel have continued to operate in the country secretly. This is a quote from the New York Times. Secretly, mostly in the capital, Kiev, directing much of the massive amounts of intelligence the United States is sharing with Ukrainian forces. The report from the New York Times is the first admission that Americans are on the ground in Ukraine. President Joe Biden has pledged not to deploy American forces to Ukraine. What the fuck? How can you claim? Well, let me finish the sentence. That's the problem. I get halfway through a sentence and it makes me so angry that I can't actually get to the end of it. Joe Biden has pledged not to deploy American forces to Ukraine and withdrew 150 soldiers training Ukrainian forces before Russia invaded on February 24th. So here you have Joe Biden saying we're not going to have troops on the ground in Ukraine because this is not an American war, right? We're not a part of this, right? So he says that, and here we are, fucking part of it every day. This is our war. This is us. We're part of it. And we're there. And we helped create this situation by having a CIA-backed coup in 2014. Funding and arming Nazis, our good buddies, the Nazis, which, we go back with the Nazis. I think I've done segments on this. I think people need to remember this. It's not like we just woke up and we go, hey, these Nazis aren't bad. Operation Gladio since World War II actually started in World War II and then continued since World War II, in which we had Nazis and right-wing extremists throughout Europe ready to operate on our behalf. Operation Gladio. Google it if you need to. You got us bringing Nazi scientists back to the United States. Operation Paperclip. Bringing Nazi scientists from Nazi Germany. These aren't even new Nazis. These aren't even those new, cuter Nazis. These aren't even the Nazi children, the 18-year-olds who are Nazi wannabes. They get the tattoos and then they have to run around trying to find a good Nazi group to fit in with. Because, it's tough to be that 18, 19-year-old. Excuse me. Could I be Nazi with you? Could I do some Naziing with you guys, please? I got the tattoos already. A friend did them. They're not very good. They're the swastika looks more like a swirl. It looks a little like a swirl, but it's same idea. I want it. I think it's the thought that counts. That's what I've always heard. That's what they say about swastikas and gifts. Swastikas and gifts, swastika tattoos and gifts. It's the thought that counts. Sure, it's a swirl and not a swastika, but still. Oh man, now I'm gonna my whole stream's gonna be taken down by YouTube and everybody else because they just do nowadays. They just fucking do a scan. They just do an AI scan for your transcript. And if they see the word swastika or Nazi too many times, maybe it's once, I don't fucking know. They just delete. They just delete it or they stop showing it to people. Or I'll check to see if people have watched the video and they'll be like, your video's been seen by 7 people. 7 whole people have seen your video. Which I get. The idea was YouTube claimed that this was to stop, promotion of what right-wing supremacists, white supremacists, all that shit. White wing. That's a new kind. The white wing supremacists. They claim to stop promotion, but of course it also stops detrimental talk or revealing of their crimes. So if you do a video about how Nazis can go fuck themselves and how many people they fucking killed and how racist they are, you do that video, YouTube, algorithmically bans that one too. So in a way, the Nazis are getting as much as they're losing. They can't make videos. Right-wing fucking fascist shitheads can't make videos nowadays saying, hey, join the Nazis. Wink. But they can't. But also, you and I can't make videos saying, hey, here's how the U.S. has teamed up with Nazis over the years. Anyway, I just wanted to show you. Let's see. Maybe I'll read one more sentence. According to the so this goes beyond just the CIA. According to the New York Times, Special Operations Forces from Britain, France, Canada, and Lithuania, glad we got the Lithuanian Special Forces in there, are training Ukrainian forces near the front lines. The role of the commandos is to train and advise Ukrainian troops and provide a conduit for weapons. The presence of CIA officers and commandos in Ukraine appears to contradict previous stories in CNN and New York Times. And not just CNN and New York Times. Anything CNN and New York Times do, that fucking MSNBC and all the rest are doing them too. So don't pretend that it's just CNN. But here it is, admission from mainstream media that CIA is on the ground, that commandos from other countries, from other NATO countries are on the ground. And just remember, this doesn't, you can be calling this shit out. You can talk about how fucked this is. And it doesn't mean that you're supporting Russian invasion, that you're supporting bombing. Yeah, I fucking love it when people bomb. I love it when civilians die. It's great. No, it's quite the opposite. I'm revealing this shit because I'm opposed to all war. And I'm opposed to the killing of civilians, which is what happens in war. Okay? And I'm opposed to the killing of all troops still. Because most troops are fucking idiots. I mean, they're not fucking idiots, but many are idiots who just fell for the propaganda. Or actually, it's not even fair to call them idiots. Those who fell for the propaganda. I'm not saying all troops, but plenty of them know exactly what they're doing. But I'll just say fell for the propaganda. Many of them are actually, I know a lot of veterans. I know a lot of people who joined the armed forces, including my parents. And they believe the propaganda, or used to. And then they get done being a part of it, and they go, well, not all of them, but a lot of soldiers get done being a part of it, and they go, oh, that was fucked. They start to see the truth, that they're being used, that they're cannon fodder for the rich, that they're cannon fodder in fucking proxy wars because the U.S. empire needs to keep exploiting the world, and we're upset that there dare be countries that go outside of our central banking, outside of our dollar, our petrodollar. Just a quick reminder, speaking of the petrodollar, might as well throw this in there in case you haven't seen past episodes. As long as the petrodollar is still in existence, climate change will go untouched, undealt with in any way. We will keep exploiting and using all of the fossil fuels. We will keep baking ourselves to death. A third of the U.S. couldn't leave their house in 1 week in June. We're told they could leave their house, but we're told not to leave their house because the heat was deadly outside. A third of the U.S. Meanwhile, as long as our dollar, as long as the U.S. empire's wealth is backed by the usage of petroleum, then you will never see the U.S. do anything to try and move past petroleum. All they'll do is they'll throw you a couple little words. You'll see Joe Biden or whoever the next fucking puppet is get up on stage and go, I care about climate change. Yeah. And I said that sentence. Did you hear it? I said it. The sentences they say don't matter. Stop listening to these clowns. The sentences don't matter. All right? God, the number of people who go, well, at least Joe Biden cares about climate change. Show me how. Show me the shit he did that shows he cares. Not the stuff he said. Same with Obama, right? Obama said he cared about climate change, said he cared about the environment, right? Under Obama, more oil pipeline was laid across America than under any president. And of course, Donald Trump just fucking sped that up even more. He would have laid more oil pipeline, but he didn't get the 8 years. You know, it's kind of like athletes where you're like, this guy was the greatest of all time, and then people go, he only won 2 championships, and it's like, well, he injured his knee. If he had had a chance to keep going, man, it would have been a different world. You know, would have been a different world. You know, you could point to Federer has had knee injuries. Roger Federer. Sorry, I got to use tennis analogies because I don't watch much sports. Roger Federer has had knee injuries. And he has 20 Grand Slams, but he's behind Nadal, who has 22 Grand Slams. Well, who knows how many Federer would have won if he hadn't had that knee injury, right? Also, he's gotten older. Who knows how many he would have won if he didn't age? Djokovic also has 20 Grand Slams, but he got kicked out of the U.S. Open for pegging a ball and hitting a ball woman in the throat, which that's some bad luck right there. You're just in the heat of the moment. Anybody who's played any sport, you're just in the heat of the moment and you fucking let one rip. And then here's the thing. If it hadn't hit the ball woman, if it had gone anywhere else, and this was the year where there was no audience. So there were only about 4 people on the court. This guy could have hit in the throat with a ball. And he found the pinpoint accuracy. Because if it had gone anywhere else, not only if it had gone anywhere else, if it hadn't hit anyone, then you're not ejected. You just get a warning or whatever. But furthermore, if she hadn't been injured, so let's say the ball hit her shoulder and she went Alzies, and that was it, they probably wouldn't have kicked him out. But instead, fucking right in the trachea, just and then she doubles over and he gets kicked out of the tournament, and he probably would have won that tournament. And so here he is sitting at 20 Grand Slams. Also didn't get to play the Australian Grand Slam because he refused to get vaccinated, and then they kicked him out of the country, which was a fucking clusterfuck. But so you go, what if he'd had A, B, and C? What if Federer didn't have a knee injury? Maybe he'd have the most Grand Slams. Well, it's the same with Donald Trump. If he'd had the 8 years, I bet he would have put down more oil pipeline and baked us all more than Obama has. But anyway, back to the point. Back to the point could be the name of my next. I could sell t-shirts that say back to the point. Back to the point. And this is the problem. I said I have like 5 stories to get to or more and we're 22 minutes in and I haven't. All right, I'm moving on. But back to the point was, they say all this shit. They don't mean any of it. Biden says no troops on the ground. What is the CIA? Is that not a troop? Oh, well, he doesn't wear boots. Biden said no boots on the ground. CIA agents, they wear those wingtip shoes, right? They wear a little Reeboks so they can skitter around quicker, sneaky, so they can be more sneaky. They don't wear the boots. Biden said no more boots on the ground. All right. He specifically said no boots on the ground. These guys, they wear the little cat burglar footsies that are like silent when they touch the ground. You know, the little like rock climbing shoes. You ever seen those ones where the rock climbing shoes are like covered in rubber? And I've never worn a pair, but somehow it shrinks the human's foot down like by 2-3 sizes. Somehow the toes are forced backwards. I don't know how it works, but they put on these they look like ballerina slippers, except they have like rubber on the end. So that's what CIA agents wear. They wear the little rubber footsies to sneak around. And so those aren't boots. He didn't say no rubber footsies, no rubber little toe shoes on the ground in Ukraine. He didn't say that. All right, next story, which relates to the same shit. And by the way, if you're enjoying this, if you think these videos are important, if you think these stories are important, please click the thumbs up and the subscribe and all that stuff and share it and everything. I'm the most censored comedian in America, and I put the challenge out to you. If you know another comedian who's had a YouTube channel with 250,000 subscribers, banned globally, over 1,000 videos banned globally, podcast deleted from Spotify. If you know someone like that, then please let me know, and I'll stop saying that I'm the most censored comedian in America. But anyway, here is similar or related topic, and this is from the source Multipolarista, excellent source. If you don't know it, multipolarista.com. It's also at radindiemedia.com, R-A-D, indiemedia.com. But Multipolarista, done by Ben Norton, excellent journalist. who's been attacked many times. Basically, you know a journalist is legit if they get attacked. If they get attacked by these garbage outlets. Just today, I've been getting attacked by that fucking fake piece of shit McCarthyite site, Proper Not. For those of you who don't remember, they put out a list of basically any independent journalist doing real work. They put out a list and said they're all Russian, like funded or Russian trolls or whatever the fuck. Just complete lies. And Washington Post then reposted it. So, but yes, multipolarista.com, created by Ben Norton. And this is talking about a U.S. government body has now admitted, U.S. government body has now admitted that it wants to break up Russia in the name of decolonialization, or decolonization, which is hilarious. But the fact they're admitting this out loud in your face is a big deal. The U.S. government's Helsinki Commission held a congressional briefing plotting ways to break up Russia as a country. And this also just verifies, for those of you who weren't sure what the U.S. aims are of our proxy war, in Ukraine, this spells it out. They're admitting it. Again, they're saying the quiet part loud more and more often. More and more often, you see them saying the quiet part loud. U.S. government body held a congressional briefing plotting ways to break up Russia as a country in the name of supposed decolonization. The participant urged the U.S. to give more support to separatist movements inside Russia and the diaspora. They proposed the independence of numerous republics in the Russian Federation, including Chechnya, Tatarstan, and Dagestan, as well as historic areas that existed centuries ago, such as Circassia. This is far from the first time that hawks in Washington have fantasized about carving up foreign countries. Yeah, this is our playbook. This is not a new playbook for the USA. To if we can't coup a country, we try and carve them up into pieces because it means less resources to fight against, less resources for them to have for their people. It helps to just crush a country if you can carve off pieces. So, but yes, as Ben Norton points out, and I think this is an important point, during the first Cold War, the U.S. sponsored secessionist groups inside the Soviet Union. In the 1990s, the U.S.-led NATO military cartel successfully dismantled Yugoslavia and bombed the shit out of them, by the way. And Washington has long backed separatists in the Chinese regions of Tibet, Xinjiang, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. And he then talks about how Ben Norton then talks about how this is the one of the most public times they've said this, that the U.S. government has said that they want to carve up Russia. This congressional hearing was one of the most high-profile and provocative calls for balkanization yet, held in broad daylight, titled "Decolonizing Russia." Dude. The idea of the U.S., which is a colonial power, we have just countless numbers of countries where we either all out straight up own them, like fucking Puerto Rico or Hawaii, or we have put in a puppet government that does our bidding. We've got the arm straight up the ass there, fully. They just do what we want, like Colombia was until the other day. And I covered that story. Big news in Colombia where President Petro is taking over, although he doesn't take over till August. So God knows what the U.S. is going to be involved in before that. But hilariously, we're accusing Russia of colonization. And by the way, you could have an argument about that for Ukraine, maybe. If you want to have that debate, but at least have that debate. They're talking about just breaking up parts of traditional Russia and calling that colonization. But anyway, what was I about to say before that? The U.S. Anyway, the colonization. Oh, I know what I was going to say is The U.S. to claim someone else as a colonizer, we don't have a leg to stand on. All right, we, as most of you know, have 900 military bases, roughly 900. Many of them, not many of them, some of them. We know of at least 800 military bases around the world, and then there's black sites. So if you add in the black sites, you got around 900 military bases around the world. We have a web of military installations around the world because we think we own the globe. And then we point over at Russia and we go, they are colonizing the world because they have something like 18 military bases outside of Russia compared to 900 with an H. There's a big old fat H there. 900. And they have 18. And most of the 18 that Russia has are in former Soviet bloc countries. I think all of them are in former Soviet bloc countries. But then we also point at China and they go, China's a colonizer. China, you know how many military bases they have outside of China? One military base outside of China. And we're like, they're colonizing. They're doing, I think we're just upset. We're just upset that people are doing our shit. We're like, we are the empire. We colonize every fucking where we can. And when we don't colonize it, we still kind of own it via puppet governments, via economic debt, where, yeah, the president of the country may be cool. He may be a rad dude, to use the terminology that the kids use these days, okay? They walk around saying, that guy is a rad dude, right? That's what the kids are saying. I'm not old at all. The kids love that term, rad. They don't use any other terms that I've heard of no, it's just rad and dude mainly. That and bass. So anyway, and twerk. They like that. He is a rad dude twerk. That's how they use it. They say he is a radical twerktivist. Anyway, even if the president is good, often they're saddled with such IMF, World Bank, U.S. debt that they are forced into bullshit so that we have to, so that we can control them. So in that way, we own a lot of places that we don't own on paper. You know, you look at so many of these countries that are still just under our thumb in that manner, and don't really have a choice on that front. And then you look at places like Pakistan, where, you know, a year ago, would you have said the U.S. is Pakistan's a puppet state of the U.S.? I don't know. You can argue with some things here and there, but you'd say no. Pakistan's their own man. They're their own dude. They have their own saying things, right? But then Imran Khan just a few weeks ago tries to stand up against the U.S., even just a little. Tries to say that Pakistan is more naturally allied with Russia. Tries to stay neutral on the proxy war. And what the U.S. creates a soft coup, knocks him out of power, because that's what we do. That's what we do. That's our thing. And that's what we're really upset about. We're upset that people have taken our thing. So just to finish this up here, titled Decolonizing Russia, a Moral and Strategic Imperative, the June 23rd briefing was organized by the U.S. Commission on Security and Cooperation in Europe, known more commonly as the Helsinki Commission. This commission claims to be quote-unquote independent, don't they all? But it is a government agency, a U.S. government agency created and overseen by Congress. Yeah, that kind of means it's not independent, right? If it's a U.S. government agency. Kind of not independent. So I've shown you what the real goal is of the U.S. in this proxy war, is to crush Russia, to balkanize Russia, to Biden ad-libbed at the end of one of his speeches because, you know, the whatever fucking pills they pop him up on, whatever, you know, the mixture of, maybe he got some of Trump's diet pill amphetamines that Trump was always coked up on, and they pumped him full of that. Whatever it was, he got to the end of the speech and he said, Putin can't remain in power. And it was an ad lib, but it shows what the U.S. is really trying to do. We're trying to create a coup in Russia. That's our goal. And it's not really that hidden. we're also trying to, we know Ukraine can't win the war against Russia right now. So why is the CIA over there? What are we doing? Well, we just want to drag them down into a fucking never-ending proxy war, which means endless Ukrainian lives are lost via Russia bombing, via Nazi bombing, via Nazi killing, via U.S. backed killing, whatever. There's death of civilians on all sides. And I'm not pro-oligarch. I don't support any of this shit. I support peace. I want them to sit down and say, it's fucking ending today. God forbid you actually be like that. But so that's the real aim of the U.S. in this proxy war. And it's backfiring. The sanctions are backfiring. U.S. American citizens are getting fucked by it, right? All of a sudden, a gallon of gas is $22 to put that in your tank. All of a sudden, people are struggling even more than they were before. The sanctions are backfiring. And here's another way it's backfiring. And you won't hear this news on your mainstream media. You won't hear this news on any of those networks that are designed to give you U.S. propaganda. The U.S. has been, the U.S. and our allies have been trying to get Africa to sign on as part of this proxy war. Not meaning they send resources. It's not often you're like, well, Africa sent a couple of dudes. There's that hip new word again. A couple of dudes to fight in it's not like, oh, Mozambique sent a couple of fellas to go fight in Ukraine. It's not about the resources. They just want to be able to say, the U.S. wants to be able to say, this number of countries support or against Russia, blah, blah, blah. So here is, and this is also from Multipolarista, only 4 of 55 African leaders attended Zelensky's call showing the neutrality on Ukraine and Russia, meaning the fact they didn't attend showed the neutrality. Western governments have tried to rally the nations of Africa to join their war on Russia, but the vast majority of the continent has ignored their pressure campaign. For months, Ukraine attempted to organize a video conference between the African Union and Western-backed leader Zelensky. France, and I don't like to say his name because I'm going to get it, his first name, because I'm going to get it wrong, Volodymyr, but I'm going to pronounce it wrong, but also it just sounds too much like the bad guy. And what movie was the Voldemort? I don't know my science fiction very well. Is that God, I'm looking like a fucking idiot here. Is that Voldemort is that Harry Potter, or is that the one with the rings? Lord of the Rings. That's right. Because I always get what's the name of it's Harry Potter, not Lord of the Rings. Thank you, science fiction people. And I realize that those movies are so big, you don't even have to be science fiction people. You just have to be fucking awake and conscious. Yeah, someone said shaking their head. You just have to be a awake and conscious human being to remember that fact. But anyway, moving on. That's like when Eleanor Goldfield, who joins me on the Saturday live streams, when I'll mention somebody that it's not like I listen to their music, I just know who they are. What's a good example? Nicki Minaj or Megan Thee Stallion or some shit like that. I'll just mention that they exist, and Eleanor will go, I don't listen to their music. I don't know who you're talking about. And I go, I know you don't listen to their music, but they're just a thing in the world. Like, you say Kanye West, it's not like someone needs to be like, oh, I'm a huge fan to have heard of who he is. No, but if I said something like Kendrick Lamar or something to Eleanor, she'd go, I don't know who that is. I don't listen to their music. I know you don't listen to music, but they're just everywhere. They're just a thing. Okay, you don't have to listen to music to know they're a thing. All right, I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to turn on this little nothing fan because I don't know if it's going to hurt the audio or not, but it's just too fucking hot in here. Anyway, way off topic. Way off topic. So, France and Germany put heavy pressure on African governments to attend the Zoom call, which was held on June 20th. The conference ended up being a total failure, however. This is the second summit that the U.S. has been somehow connected to or tangentially that has been an utter failure. The other one was the summit in Los Angeles, the Summit of the Americas, where half the countries didn't attend, and there was like no one there. And instead, it was activists like Abby Martin and fucking Walter Smolarek that stood up and interrupted the whole thing, and that was the takeaway. This is the second. It shows the weakness of the American empire. And here's the thing: I support America in that I want to make it a better and rational country. I want to make it a group of people actually helping each other, actually making a livable world, a better world, actually saving this world, this planet for our grandchildren and whatever dumb little pieces of shit they pump out. Just kidding around. I want to see that. I want to see a wonderful and awesome future for the average Americans who are struggling right now. And in that way, I support America. I don't support crushing other countries. So for anybody who's like, Lee Camp's anti-American, or they try to claim, even if they don't know who the fuck I am, they try to claim they're pro-American because they support all of our insane wars overseas. I support Russia bombing. I support U.S. bombing anywhere, including Russia. I want nuclear war to happen. I support Nazis we fund. That's not pro-American. You're destroying our future on this planet. How can that be pro-American if you're killing the future for your fucking children? Because guess what? Americans have to live in this godforsaken world too. And if we kill the environment, if we kill everything there is left, how is that pro? How is that pro-American? How is that? I'm so patriotic. I want to destroy the world for my children. That's right. I'm so patriotic that I just want to use so much plastic. I just want to order out food every day that comes in 16 plastic lids. I ask for extra plastic lids just to like stack them on top, just so I can throw them out. I want that for my children so that they can feel what it's like to feel the environment collapsing. I want my kids to know what it's like to have an unlivable planet just like I do, because then they'll get to know the world I enjoyed. How is that pro-America? How's that patriotic? If you support the people of America, Americans, which, and I get that, some people are annoyed that America doesn't just mean the United States, blah, 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 but it's too much. I can't say United Statesians. If you support the humans of the United States, the humans living in the United States, and that means all of them, any of them, and that means both the colonizers, like the white people, and the colonized, like the indigenous, if you support all of them, inside the borders, stupid fucking borders that some guy came up with 200 years ago, 700 years ago, whenever the first guy said, this line right here is a thing that I care about. If you support the humans, the USians in that area, then you should want them to have a future on this planet. And if we keep bombing and killing people and have 900 military bases around the world and keep expending fossil fuels, there is no future. It is over. So stop acting like it's anti-American to be opposed to this shit, to be opposed to the U.S. destroying the fucking world. It's pro-American. That's what it is. All right, let me wrap up this story real quick. I have more stories for you, but let me wrap up this one, and then the stream, the rest of the live stream will only be at rumble.com/Lee Camp. All the other places that you guys are watching, which I love you. You're amazing. I love that you're here. I love that you join me. I hope you will join me every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday at noon Eastern, except Friday is members only at leecamp.net. That's a Q&A where we chat with each other, whatever you want to chat with me about. That's at leecamp.net. But all the rest, Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, are at noon Eastern, and they are free to watch at rumble.com/Lee Camp. But in a minute, all of those other platforms will end, but it will keep going at rumble.com/Lee Camp. So if you're already on Rumble, then you have nothing to worry about. This will keep going. Anyway, just to finish up this last story about the African governments not showing up to this Zoom call with Zelensky. France and Germany put heavy pressure on African governments to attend the call. The conference ended up being a total failure. The heads of state of just four of the 55 members of the African Union joined the meeting. In other words, 93% of the leaders of the African continent refused to attend the video conference with Zelensky. This is a clear sign of Africa's overwhelming neutrality in the proxy war between the West and Russia. It's 93%. And this is even with all the shit that we and the West are holding over the heads of African governments, right? We sink them into debt. We threaten them with military. We threaten them with cooing them. All that shit is just sitting over their heads. It's like having a big bucket of shit just over your head, like a dump tank, but reverse and filled with shit. That was a bad analogy. Anytime you have to give two equivocations on an analogy, then it's you know that's a bad analogy. It's like a dump tank, except instead of you going down into the water comes down on you, and it's not water, it's shit. So it's a douse tank. It's not a dump tank, it's a douse tank, and they've got it over there. And you are, instead of you in the thing, and instead of throwing a baseball, they're throwing IMF debt. And instead of you sitting on a little, see what I'm saying? Anytime you have to have more than one equivocation, don't use that analogy. That's a shit analogy. All right, so, but yeah, 93% of the African countries refused to attend this Zoom call because they were showing their neutrality. They were saying, we'll be part of peace talks, we'll encourage peace talks, but we're not going to be part of a one-way conversation. All right, so I'm headed over to rumble.com/Lee Camp, and I have more stories for you. For one of them, about how much the police steal from us, meaning you and me. There's a new article by John Kariaka, the CIA whistleblower, and it's excellent, about how much police steal from us. And anyway, rumble.com/Lee Camp. Also, if you want to be part of that Q&A every Friday at noon Eastern, to be part of that Q&A, chat with me. We can chat about topics. You can tell me what you want me to cover. You can ask me questions such as, why do you use analogies that require 3 equivocations in order to get to the fucking point? You can ask me that. That's at noon Eastern on Fridays, and it's only at leecamp.net. Join up over there, become a supporting member, and that's how I'm able to even do this show at all. So thanks for joining me, and we will now continue at rumble.com/Lee Camp. In 1 second. Just hold on one second. I just have to click some things. There's some clicking involved. Also, I think